Hello, Internet. I am Corione, your witch in residence here on YouTube. And at around this time every year, one of the family movies that I love watching is The Sound of Music. Now, I know it's not really Christmas related, but we're in that like weird time between Christmas and New Year's where time doesn't seem to really matter anymore. And, we're just kind of sitting around in our pajamas until like 4 in the afternoon. And this is one of those comfort movies that I really enjoy watching. And, it took me a long time to realize why. And, as a kid, you watch it because it's what your family's got on and it follows an Austrian family. And being an Austrian family definitely helps with that. But I think part of it is also the message, right? That, you know, even if you're not going to actively fight what you see as an approaching darkness, you don't have to choose to participate either. You can choose to step out of the way and let those who are going to fight in. And I also think another piece of it for me is a little bit of the love story going on. Because everybody involved in that love story actually acts like a mature grown up when it comes to pieces. Except for maybe Maria, but she can be forgiven given that this is her first real romance, I think. Okay? But I think it does speak to the changing times. And these days, that message of just because you decide you are going to stand away from this and you're not going to participate, it doesn't necessarily mean you consent to what's going on as well. And I think that's an important political message that I think needs to resonate a lot today. Look, at the end of the day, some people are built to fight, whether that's fight with their words, their deeds, or weapon, what have you. Some people are that person. Some people are not. And it's okay to not be that. All right. It's okay to say, look, I don't support a behavior, an action, what have you, but I am not going to put those that I care about at risk by engaging in opposition to this. Okay? That's completely fine. And that's a message that I think has been lost over the last little while, that sometimes we need to stop and take a look at a situation and ask ourselves, do I really need to get involved in this, or am I just going to be making a bad situation worse? And I think this movie really shows that, look, we had a guy who was going to be forcibly drafted into the military, and he knew what the consequences to his family, to his kids, to his new wife would be should he choose not to participate. So, did he fight them to the last and risk his family? No. Did he verbally oppose them and stand tall just so that he'd be the first one and on getting nailed in the shooting line? No. What he instead did was took his family and left for safer places. Okay, that is not weakness, that is strength, because it takes a fair bit for a person to stand up and say, this is wrong, I'm going to fight it. It takes a different kind of strength to say, this is wrong, I want to oppose it, but if I do, others will be hurt, and I don't want anyone to be hurt in this. I'd rather find a better solution, but for now, I go because the people I care about are at stake, and I can't protect them and fight at the same time. This is a super important message, I think. I often look at individuals today that are up fighting for various issues and not giving a thought to the people in their own families they may be putting in place of harm. Sometimes it's okay to watch, wait, and look for an opportune opening to deal with a problem that won't cause harm to others. This is an important lesson to learn, and I think you only get it through wisdom. And I am not saying I am the wisest person out there. I'm not even saying I'm the wisest person on this channel. What I am saying is the wisdom that I've learned is sometimes discretion is the better part of valor. And sometimes the way to win a battle is to make sure the battle doesn't happen in the first place. And to me, that's the number one takeaway from a movie like this. It's a hard lesson. It's hard to say, I'm going to put my personal need to right or wrong aside in favor of those I care about. And that is not weakness. That is a kind of strength that comes around quite rarely. I know that there's a lot these days that chips at the spirit of many of you, right? We've all heard people rail against, out of control capitalism or fanatical adherence to the rules of the state. The far left and the far right are determined to make everyone believe that you have to be in lockstep with one of them to have a tribe, to have a group of people. You don't. You can choose to listen to all parties involved, make the choices for you and the people you care about that are in the best position for them, and you don't have to be in lockstep with either of them. You can pick where you sit on a political, social, and even ethical spectrum. Okay? So long as you are following the rules of the land, which I do fully endorse, even if I disagree with them, so long as you're following those rules, then you are doing right. Okay? Even if you have a difference of opinion than other people, even if you have a difference of opinion from me, so long as it's your opinion, so long as you behave in an ethical manner, I respect the position, right? Please let me give you an example. I co host with the Writer Brothers, which is an amazing channel and you should check out. I am not personally too fond of the owning of firearms for any activity other than recreational shooting or for the actual sport of hunting, where you are intentionally taking home what you've gone after in order to provide for you and your family and what have you. Okay, I don't believe in trophy hunting. I don't think that's ethical. I don't believe in going to shoot for shooting's sake. But I the differing viewpoint from one of my co-hosts is that everyone should have a firearm for personal protection. And I absolutely believe in his right to feel that way. I absolutely believe in his right to choose to do that given the legal options at his disposal. I personally wouldn't. I personally believe that the best methods of defense for your family involve non-lethal methods, or methods that are guaranteed that if my dad stumbles into my house at 3 a.m. because he's lost and he wants a sandwich or something, that I don't get up bleary-eyed, come down the stairs and inadvertently cause him harm. I wouldn't want that, right? If, I'm using a non-lethal method, he may be mad at me later, but he'll still be alive and I'll still be able to give him a hug. Now, that all being said, it's legal where my co-host stands. It's ethical in his mind. And, he's responsible enough to take ownership of his position. So I absolutely believe in his right to do so. And, we can have that difference of opinion and be okay with it. If one of us were to be hard and firm and be like, no, you must do, that's when I think we would have a problem. And we have enough respect for each other's opinions that we can have the debate and have the discussion and behave in an ethical manner to each other. But if we ever got into that political lockstep sort of position, the appropriate thing for me to do would not be to confront him and try to force him into my worldview. It would be to stand up and say, well, I don't think we're going to be able to get along on this matter. If we must discuss it, that's fine. But if you're absolutely refusing to have anything to do with me because of my opinion on this, then, take care and have a wonderful life, would be the response. And I think we've been losing that as a society. I think it's really important that we watch movies like this where we have a conscientious objection to the state and deal with it in the most ethical manner available to the individuals. Because I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Governments can only operate by consent of the masses. Now, whether they cudgel that consent or whether they, force that consent or whether they actually gain that consent by people believing in them is a matter for a different video and I think a different forum. But it's important to remember that you always have the opinion, or you always have the option of standing up and saying, I will do what is legally required of me and no more. And that's okay to do. Okay. Or you can simply say, you know what? I'm going to go to a location where my ethics and morals line up with the other people involved there's ethics and morals. We don't have to force our opinions on others. We don't have to go outside the law to make others push for those options. Okay? We can treat each other with respect and love and compassion. Now, speaking of all those wonderful things, if you'd like to hear more about me talking about being compassionate and reasonable to others, I would really appreciate it if you would consider subscribing to this channel, or even better, becoming a channel member. We've released a couple now of my videos that are exclusive to my channel members about world religions, and I'd be very interested in you taking a look. It's one of the least expensive memberships on YouTube, and you do get a lot of value out of it. So if you could consider that, please consider doing so. It really helps me out. It would also help out your favorite YouTuber if you drop them a subscription too. And please come check out the Writer Brothers because those guys are just awesome and they produce amazing content every Tuesday night. So, guys, I want to thank you all very, very much for listening. Merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.